Hello, welcome to Janie's Journals. This is Janie. The other day I had made this little art journal, and I have a video of this, but it was just made with cardboard and leftover material, and I used some watercolor paper to put in there. And I was downstairs in my basement cleaning some things out, and I found this. This is an old photo album, and I don't really have a use for it as a photo album, but I thought the cover is kind of neat. It would make a pretty cool little, art journal as well. So that's what I am going to try to do. I actually, before I got on here, I started cutting it apart, and this piece looks like it lifts off pretty easily. And I think this is going to be easy to make an art journal out of. So, see, that's just pulling right out of there. I'm going to take out the guts of this, and I'm going to work on making it an art journal, and I'll let you watch. Okay, that came off really, really easily. The only thing is I had to take off all of the stitches because when I cut this book out, it pulled all that thread out anyway. So now I'm going to have to either sew around it again, which I guess wouldn't be too difficult to do. And I've got to come up with a lining for this now. And I think for this one, I'm going to use just some black cardstock. But before I do the cardstock, I am going to use some matte finish acrylic paint and just paint the inside of it black, so that if there's, especially back in here, whenever I put the signatures in, I don't want this craft color to show up. So painting is the first thing. After doing the black paint, I decided that if this is going to be a little art journal, I need to get a little more artistic with my cover. So I went to my material stash to see what I could come up with, and I have 4 possibilities here. This one is from an old skirt that I had broken down, and then I have these Tim Holtz materials that I think any of them would look really nice. Okay, so I'm going to rule out the measuring, the rulers. I feel like that's too much brown, too much black, too much blah. And this one is kind of the same thing. I mean, it's some really neat material, but just not necessarily for this project. So that leaves me with this material, which is very colorful. Pull it out here. It is very colorful, and it would look pretty nice on there. And then I have the skirt material, which I think would also look pretty nice. So, not sure. I think I tend to go towards this one because it's an art journal, and it's going to have a lot of colors in it. It's going to have a lot of patterns in it. And this one just seems almost a little too plain. So there's our answer. This is what I will use to cover the insides of the book. And I think since I do have to do some kind of stitching, I think I'm just going to cut out 2 panels. I'm going to stitch them on there, and then I'll trim them down after they're put on. And let's see. Let me think, because I will have raw edges. And if these raw edges are just sewn in and left like they are, they could unravel pretty easily. The only way not to have them unravel would be to do a zigzag stitch. And this is so thick, I'm worried about it going through my sewing machine to begin with. So now I'm wondering if I want to fold it or find some. Let me look through my pattern papers and see if I can come up with something similar to this cloth that I could glue down and not worry about the edges coming unraveled. So let me see what I can come up with. Okay, I found some paper I really like. This one, it's got these really pretty textures in it, and turquoise and rust and kind of like a honey color. So that's going to be this, and I was thinking, because I really don't think my sewing machine is going to be able to handle the thickness of this, and I might be out of my mind, but the other day when I was at a sheltered workshop resale shop, I found a whole bunch of different colors of embroidery floss. So I'm going to see if I can find one that will look good with this book. And I'm literally going to sew these by hand, just because I don't want to ruin my machine, but it's got to have something so that this will stay down permanently. So I'm going to check that out, and I'll be back. Did not find any brown or any blue, but what I did find is this beautiful rust color, and I think that's what I am going to work with here. So this should be fun. Gonna take about an hour now and put the thread into my needle, and then I will start sewing on it. All right, 40 minutes later, we have it done. And this is what it looks like. I think that looks pretty nice. And I left the strings long enough on the inside so that whenever I put the inside cover on, I can cover those. So that's what I have. And now the next step is going to be cutting the paper down for the inside cover here. Okay, there it is. It wasn't as difficult as I expected. The hardest thing was pushing my needle through these holes. That was kind of hard on my hands. But I think that the inside covers this one. I got just a little bit crooked because I should have clipped it down like I did the other side. But I like it. And these can be pulled in and out and worked on and then put back in. So there's that. The only thing, again, I don't have is a clasp. So I am going to work on figuring that part out now. So here's what I found. I had this little container with different kinds of closures. Most of them are metal, but there was a few of these belt buckle closures. And it reminded me that I have, crazy as it may seem, I have an old belt that I don't know if it was my husband's or one of my son-in-law's, but it doesn't, I took it apart. And I think I should be able to trim this down and attach it to the front and the back and use that as a closure. I think it would be cute with the leather cover. So I'm wondering if I want to try to sew the edges of this and make it look more finished. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and just cut it down first, get it to the right size, and then I'll decide from there what I'm going to do. And it's done. Let me turn this light on. Sorry. Okay. I ended up just stitching the back piece on there. And here's what it looks like on the inside. I mean, it's fine. And then here is the buckle. Goes in like this, and there it is, done. And it turned out really good, I think. considering what it started out as. Just a cheap little, probably got it at a Goodwill store years ago and just had it in my basement. So that is how you repurpose a photo album. I'll see you guys later, and thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next one.